This episode has been brought to you by My Extraordinary Productions. Don't go at it alone. Let's work on your next film together. Click the link in the description to learn more. Hi everyone, this is the third of a four-part series about how to be a cinematographer when you're not actually a cinematographer. So, the first week we went over your camera, the second week we went over lighting, now we are doing sound. Sound is one of those jobs that if you do it really well, no one notices, but if you don't do it well, everyone notices. So your first option when it comes to recording sound is using either your phone or your camera because it already has a microphone on it. It's already recording whatever you happen to be recording. Everything's already going to be synced up, but you may get a better quality sound if you use an external device. Lavalier mics, which are also known as lav mics and lapel mics, are really great for getting individualized levels. I could be speaking at one volume, my partner could be speaking at a different volume, and then we can edit it later so that we sound more in balance. Also, since lavalier microphones are attached to your clothes and are right next to your sound source, they get a much clearer sound than you could get from your camera. The main challenge with lavalier mics is you don't always want them to be visible, so you have to learn how to hide them within clothing without having the clothing rustle and make all sorts of noise that the microphone picks up. There are other external microphones, and one of the more ubiquitous ones is the shotgun microphone, which you usually see on one of those boom poles. By the way, boom poles are really great if you want to be really sore the next morning. So sometimes you may see those things attached to tripods instead so that you don't have to hold them. These other external microphones are great because you don't have to figure out how to attach them to a person or anything, but the challenge then becomes making sure that they stay out of the shot, and that also includes making sure their shadow stays out of the shot. Whatever your external sound source is, you may want to invest in a slate or clapperboard of some sort. This is mine, this is for this episode. If you don't have that though, you can always write everything on a piece of paper and clap so that you can sync everything later. When you're shopping for microphones, you may notice that there are omnidirectional microphones, cardioid microphones, and shotgun microphones, and you may not know which one to buy and why that makes a difference. Omnidirectional microphones get sound from all directions. It literally translates to all direction microphone. A cardioid microphone is more sensitive to some sounds and less sensitive to other sounds, and if you were to look at the sound pattern, it would look like a heart. It actually does look like a heart. That's where cardioid comes from. Finally, you have the shotgun microphone, and the shotgun microphone is really good at picking up whatever's directly in front of it and is really good at isolating everything else out. All three of them are totally usable. You just have to know what you're doing first. Now, when you're recording sound, there are a lot of things you're going to discover affect the sound quality, and the first one is the microphone itself. A microphone's sensitivity can usually be dialed up or down depending on what you're going for, and if you have one of those monitors with the blinking lights and you've got a 12 and a 6 and a 0 and a infinity sign, you're usually going to have the most success if you keep the levels right around a 6. The next thing that affects your sound's quality is the distance of the microphone from its source. So a microphone that's 3 to 6 inches away from me, like a lapel mic, would capture my sound much more efficiently than something that's 2 or 3 feet away, and that'll do better than something that's like 6 feet away or 10 feet away. It may be common sense to have your microphone directly facing your subject with no obstructions whatsoever, because when you have a table in the way or a door in the way or a window in the way or something like that, the sound has to bounce in a different way to get to the microphone, or the sound just gets a little more muffled because it has to travel through a physical object. Your sound quality is also affected by the materials the sound is bouncing off of. There are some materials that are much more reflective of sound, like concrete, wood, stone to some extent, and there are other materials that really absorb sound, like those popcorn ceilings that apparently a lot of people don't like, and carpeting on the floor, and those foam pads that get stuck onto walls. Those are all things that can dampen sound. Ambient noises also affect your sound's quality. We all know that if there's a fire truck that's in the background, or an ambulance, or just any really loud sound that is really sudden and not supposed to be there, we all know to do a retake. We all know that we don't necessarily want that in the shot. There are also a lot of sounds that we just ignore after a while, that we're completely oblivious of. But when you're editing, you start realizing that there was a refrigerator hum, or an air conditioner, or something like that. There are two workarounds to this. The first one being, whatever you know is going to be making that background noise, you turn it off. And the other one being that at the end of every shoot, before you leave, you get 30 seconds of room tone. Basically, you turn on your microphone for 30 seconds and you record and no one says a thing. If you have any respect for anyone on set, do not talk during the room tone. It's 30 seconds, you'll make it. Finally, you just get what you pay for. A $30 microphone can be good, but a $300 microphone is probably going to be better. We've talked about recording a lot of sound, but let's talk about music now. So there are quite a few ways of getting music in your shot. The first way, of course, is being recording live music. This can be great for a lot of things, but it can be really difficult to edit later. If you only have one single camera, you may not want to go this route. Your next option is to have one day where you record the music in a studio setting, and then you have a different day where you record whatever the scene is, and then you stitch everything together. Another way to get music in a scene is to pre-record it, shoot your scene, and then overlay the recording underneath whatever you just shot. The problem here is that if you need everyone to dance or do something in sync, you're probably not going to get everyone perfectly in sync. One workaround is that some people will record with a really, really low bass track that kind of ticks off when the beats are supposed to happen. So that keeps everyone in sync, but you don't really pick it up when you're editing and when you're overlaying the actual music. When you're layering music in post, I often recommend starting it off at 15% of its total volume, and then you can adjust things up and down from there. I'm actually going to be doing more post-production tips next week in our final installment of this mini-series. Next week is the fourth and final installment of this mini-series on how to be a cinematographer without being a cinematographer. Next week, we are talking about post-production, so you'll get more advice on things like this. And I will see you all then. In the meanwhile, if you've got a question, please leave it in the comments. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow me on social media, and I will see you all next time.